Boy, oh boy, what a squeeze. What a way to end the day. Man, what a week it has been. That was a fun afternoon. I know a lot of you guys made money on that squeeze this afternoon. We talked about that last night on the video, but promise me, we got one more day left this week. Let's not get lazy. We're only as good as our next trade, so promise me, buckle down. Let's stay disciplined. We got some more money to make on Friday. It is, I can't believe, Thursday evening already. We're getting ready for Friday's trading session. It's been a great week so far. We're going to finish up strong tomorrow morning. As always, we have a lot to talk about tonight in this video. I have a ton of great trades we'll cover here tonight. I'm going to give you guys a great roadmap with my favorite trades. That way you know how to make some money on Friday going into the end of the first week of the month of March. Before we jump in and get this party going tonight, make sure you subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss tomorrow night's video upload. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching here tonight. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor here tonight. Will you hit that like button? You better give me a shout out in the comment section below. All kidding aside though, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting the channel. But enough of the intro. Friday is right around the corner. Fridays, I'll tell you, we tend to find some pretty good Friday trading sessions. Well, boy, what a difference a day makes. Everything looking very, very bullish right now on the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the crude oil, right? Oil is also pretty bullish here right now. Now, specifically looking at the S&P and the Nasdaq, you know what I'm going to say right now, right? I mean, this is the biggest retracement, the biggest bounce we've seen in weeks. It seems like a month before since we've seen a nice big move up like this in an overall bear market. So you know there will be a lot of chances here for reversals going back down, and I will not disappoint. We definitely have plenty of reversal setups on our radar here for tomorrow. But I mean, come on, that is one hell of a move right there, right? That's a very strong move. I could easily see some bear traps for another leg higher, possibly some double top reversals as well. So boy, like I said, we have a lot to cover. This will be a master class on momentum trading. This video here tonight, you're going to want to watch this thing all the way through if you're an S&P or a Nasdaq trader. Oil is pretty straightforward, pretty bullish right now, but you'll see tonight we have a couple reasons. We got a bunch of big levels of resistance here up overhead. So the word of the day for oil traders are bear traps and breakouts. We'll talk about that in much more detail. You know I will cover that on the video here tonight. Before we jump in and talk about each of these markets, my favorite trade for tomorrow, let's not forget tomorrow is a Friday. There are probably three things you want to be aware of when it comes to tomorrow's trading session. First of all, we get that ISM services number at 10 o'clock Eastern time. That is pretty much the big news of the morning. We usually do see big moves at 10 o'clock, even without that number tomorrow. Remember, we heard from the ISM manufacturing number on Wednesday. Remember, the Fed right now has told us time and time again, their big concern is what? It's the jobs market, wage inflation. According to all the Fed speakers, that's their biggest pain in the butt right now. That's what's keeping them up at night. And that ISM services number is going to give us a front row seat of how that inflation outlook is looking. That is definitely going to be the biggest market moving event. And I'll tell you right now, second thing, got a couple Fed speakers, right, tomorrow. Just a few of them, right? Specifically Logan and Bostic as we go into the end of the morning. Now, why would I bring that up? Well, because Fridays, if there's one thing you always need to remember about a Friday, is Fridays love to run, right? As people start to get, they get a bit lazy. They lose their discipline as we go into the weekend, especially if they've made a bunch of money this week. I'm looking at you right now, by the way. But think about this now. We saw Waller. We heard from Bostic this afternoon. That really got that squeeze going this afternoon. So, we know that Fridays love to run. My goal on a Friday is always to get into positions early and then try to leave a runner, right? Because Fridays love to float. So promise me, right? Promise me, leave a little piece of it on Friday afternoon with those Fed speakers tomorrow. We may definitely get that little float, right? Those big moves that just keep going on a Friday. So those are the items on my list for tomorrow, that 10 o'clock number, and hopefully we can get into something and leave a runner and really finish off a great week with a little cherry on top into the close on Friday. Back to our charts though, right? Because I mean, come on, the news is great, but the news is noise. The money is made on the charts. And of course, as always, I'm going to go over each one of these charts and talk about my favorite trades here tonight. Guys, if you like making money, if there's one thing I hope I've taught you this week, everything we talk about tonight can be applied to your favorite market. Trades we talk about on the S&P can be applied to the oil. The oil can be applied to the Nasdaq, especially the Emini and the Nasdaq. So definitely make sure, if you take this stuff seriously, make sure you watch all the way to the end. We'll go S&P. We're going to go Nasdaq. Oh, yes. And we'll wrap things up here with the mighty crude oil. Now, first of all, before we jump in too much here, this is an 8,000 tick chart. Just be aware of that tick chart in the upper left-hand corner. This is the 21 EMA. I use the 21 EMA on all of my charts. Be aware of that. And then, as always, down the description of the video here tonight, I'll give you guys some additional charts to look at, some 4-hour time frames, some 60-minute time frames. There are some 60-minute charts down there that I think are very, very important and will be a good context, right? This is those higher time frame charts. The description are kind of what I'm using to look at this through the lens of here tonight. So grab those if you want to see more of my rationale with these charts here for tonight. All right, now that you know where to get more information, what's the most important factor that we have right now? Well, there are really 3 big factors right now. First of all, like I mentioned before, this is the first decent pullback we've seen in, it seems like a month, right? This week has been stingy. It's been stubborn, right? Wouldn't pull back for us. So this is the first steep pullback in an overall bear market. Again, if you go into that 60-minute time frame, the description, you'll see this is setting up to be a juicy place for bears to come in and short this thing back down again, right? So we have to take that into account. The second big part of this is, of course, this is a really, really strong move. Anytime we see a strong move like this, we have to respect that short-term momentum, and really anytime we see a strong move in any direction, we expect to get a deep pullback and a retest of the high. And so we know that, with that said, we know buyers are going to be looking at support areas to potentially trap in some of those bears who are undoubtedly going to short this top right now and try to go back up and run back to that high. This also presents a great chance for a double top reversal once we do retest the high because of that long-term bear bias. The third thing that you want to be on your radar right now is the potential range. This is not a small move. It's a relatively big move. And a lot of times, especially on a Thursday night into a Friday, a lot of times you get these really big moves and they stick up here and they become ranges. Now, if you know me, I love ranges, right? Especially directional ranges. So we have a lot we're going to talk about if we do get the benefit of this thing going sideways. So knowing that, right, kind of knowing those clues on this chart right now, what are my favorite trades? I think there are four really good ways to make money on this chart here for tomorrow. The first way, of course, is looking for bull traps, right? Bull traps to short off the high. We're going to be careful just shorting this thing right now. Again, this is a very strong move. It may not drop as easily as you might think. So you want to trade what you see, not what you think right now. And so looking for bull traps on the way down. Very similar to the game plan that we talked about last night as we go lower, looking for bull traps, right, on the way lower. That's one way I'd like to trade this here for tomorrow. Once we get down into, and you'll notice I'm using this, what I call a measured pullback area. Once we get that symmetrical pullback area, we start running into some of these support levels. I also would like to see if I can get some of these bears to chase this thing going lower and get them trapped in and use their stops as fuel for a run back up to retest the high. This might be my favorite trade for tomorrow, right? In most of these situations, now again, it's a very bear market. We may not get that squeeze, right? We may not get that bear trap and buy back up again. That is a very desirable trade. In a lot of cases, it will be the best trade in a situation like this. However, you have to remember, this is the first deep pullback we've seen in quite a while. So The bears, they may have no problem running this thing lower, and I think we definitely have some great chances for some bull traps, some reversals as we finish off that move back down again if we are able to turn this thing back over again. And then last but not least, kind of the fourth way I'd like to use, or the fourth way I'd like to trade this for tomorrow is I'd love to be looking for that double top reversal, because in all reality, that might be the easiest way to make money on the short side because of such a strong bullish move that we're seeing right now. So we have a lot to talk about, right? I'm going to cover all of these. We'll do this a little bit at a time here as we go here. So the key right now is we should be looking for a pullback in an attempt to go higher here. I'm going to talk about the range in a moment, so don't you dare click off this video because you're going to want to learn the range technique as well. As we're going lower, right? As we're going lower and the big money bears are coming in and shorting this thing off the high, the way you make money as we go lower in these situations is you look for bull traps. The same technique that we talk about in the free trading course, right? You basically want to get this thing going lower, and you want to look for entries above those prior swings. Again, if you watched last night's video, it's almost identical to what we talked about last night, right? Didn't quite get the full move back down, right? But again, as long as you're looking for bull traps and you're selling high like that, right, you'll be fine. You'll make plenty of money, right, going lower. You may not even get that retest of that low. You'll still be fine on that. That's going to be the way you want to do it going lower, right? Again, just like the trap patterns we talk about in the free trading course. Now, be aware of this, right? Like I said, the amount we went lower before, amount we go lower there, this whole area now, if I can get down into this area now what I'd like to do is, and again, knowing the context, right? Knowing the momentum of the situation, I would now like to go in, and remember, this is not a bull market, right? This is easily just a bullish pullback, right? A retracement, if you will, in an overall bear market. So I have to expect the bears are going to throw the proverbial kitchen sink at this thing. I have to let them try a couple times right now. I normally would not do that. I normally would get a lot more aggressive on this and want to buy this thing back up. But again, this is this is not a bull market right now, right? Be very careful on these. So you want to give those bears the benefit of the doubt, let them try a couple times, and then think about now, right? Think about where their stops are. Think about where their pain is, and we'll look for what I call a failure pattern in our free trading course. This would be a 2-try failure, and then think about it this way. Once you get that 2-try failure, then go looking for, because again, as we go higher, you know what's going to happen. The higher we go, the more who? The more bears are going to come back in because of the overall bear market. You'll be thinking about a bear trap to add to this position. These can oftentimes be a really, really easy way to get back in or to add more to it, right? So again, think about a 2-try failure. It's basically a 2 tries of the failure pattern we teach in the free trading course. And then as we're going higher, think about that bear trap as we start grinding higher. Remember, before we retest those highs, right, get that bear trap entry. It's the same thing we teach in the free course, right? So we know we want to go back up to retest the high. So failure, trap setup, which reminds me, I've talked a lot about traps and failures. I know that most of you guys and gals are learning these setups inside the free trading course. I love seeing you guys make money with these this week. But if you're here for the first time right now, and I know a lot of you guys are brand new to these videos right now, if you haven't taken the free class yet, I'll put a link up there for you in the upper right hand corner. Grab that link, take the free trading course, because the strategy that you'll learn in that free video series will teach you a stupidly simple trick to know exactly where the best winning trades are going to be that day. And as always, I'll teach you 4 simple entry patterns to help you start making money consistently in these wild markets. If you're like me and you hate missing the best trades each day, definitely grab that link, take the free course. It is perfect for someone trying to make a jump into full-time trading or add another income stream. You're going to love that free class. And we'll talk a lot about things like using stops as fuel, running stops, right, and squeezes like that. Now, the last thing I want to do here, and then we'll talk about the ranges and move going higher here. I'm going to talk about the range here. Don't you worry. I'm also going to talk about if we keep going higher, right? Because we could easily keep on squeezing, and I want to talk about kind of what to do if this market now goes higher. Now, let's say now we get that measured pullback, right? And in fact, it doesn't even need to be a measured pullback. Let's say we pull back now. The bears come in now, and they don't struggle, right? They don't struggle and allow us to use their stops as fuel. Now they come in and they're like, well, remember us? Yeah, we own this market. We may easily see this thing going lower, getting some traps. They may run this thing lower, and we may see these bears come in and just jump right off of that moving average, guys. Once the bears jump off that moving average, this is a reversal. Now, where do you think the market wants to go if the bears come in and accelerate off that moving average? Oh, you know where they want to go. They want to go right back and bury these lows down here, right? Same thing goes on the NASDAQ. Again, remember, all of this stuff can apply to both the S&P and the NASDAQ. I'm going to go to the NASDAQ here in just a few moments too as well. Don't you worry, right? So as we go lower, remember, if we go 1-2 blast off that moving average, now what do? Now remember, we don't chase it. You don't want to sell low. Don't sell low, sell high. And to do that, I'm going to draw a trend line off of these lows. Then watch closely. Bring that trend line up around these big highs. And then the next step is look left. Okay, look left. Find prior swings. Find prior swings. Okay, these are usually where the best entries are going to be. My favorite entry off this, you guys know this if you're taking the free trading course. My favorite entry is that trap right above a prior swing. Prior swings are where traps live. We may also get above the 21 moving average. Look for buyers to come in, try to buy it, right? Classic failure pattern into a pullback combination. Yeah, you guys will learn about this stuff, obviously, right? But keeping it simple in the video, trap, failure, pullback, be aware of that first test off the high of that channel. Does that make sense? All right. Is this all making sense? I'd love to know what you think about this stuff. Give me a shout out in the comment section while you're down there. Make sure you subscribe and set those notification bells as well. One more thing. If we pop down, okay, look. See, we pop up and grind, right? See right here. Look. See how we hold the moving average, right? See how there's not much separation for the buyers away from the moving average? Now, compare that to right here. Okay, you can see the difference, right? Okay, this is what we want. This is what the bears need. Notice how the buyers are getting that pop and they separate off the moving average. Okay, anytime they separate off the moving average, that's a hell of a move, right? That is why I said that much strength will want to be retested. Okay, it's very important you realize that this is a lazy move, right? Not a bull market yet, but once they pop like that and separate, bam, that's a reversal. That's a squeeze in this case. Now, knowing that separation, think about now they pop down, the moving average comes over, and they're not pulling back and jumping, right? No, they're popping down, and now it's grinding, right? The moving average coming down like this, right? It's separating off that moving average. That separation, that's also a clue this thing's bearish now, right? This thing's bearish. Now, again, I have a hard time selling as it goes lower, you know what I mean? Because, again, of this strong move going higher here, but if they do pop down and they grind down, mark off that low, bring it up around that high. These are pretty easy, right? And then mark off those swings. And then again, I'm going to keep it simple, right? Look for traps, look for failures, look for any of the entry patterns coming off of that high. And again, you know where they want to go, right? They want to take out that low, right? So keep it in mind for tomorrow. There are also going to be double bottom reversals off of that low, I would imagine too. Because oftentimes these big reversals, they'll produce some range in the middle. We'll talk more about double bottom reversals here a bit later on in the video. I'm getting a bit late right now here, and I want to get over to the NASDAQ because I know a lot of you guys like the old NQ. So we've covered the pullback. We've covered if the pullback turns into a reversal. I want to talk about ranges for sure. I also want to talk about that double bottom, or the double top, right? And we'll talk about that breakout going higher. Let's keep this mojo going here over on the NASDAQ here tonight. NASDAQ is very similar, right? There are kind of three big factors in the NASDAQ right now. One, it's a very strong move. And so you know that anytime we see a strong move, that see how it pops and separates, right? See how it barely touches that moving average? That's how you know it's a very strong move, and strong moves are going to want to what? pull back, and retest. That's one big factor. The second big factor is, hello, it's an overall bear market. This could be nothing more than a big, juicy pullback. It does not take a very skilled technician right now to go out and see you connect these lows right there, these highs right there. That is a very juicy area for a patient big lot seller. So it's not difficult to see this could easily be a spot where bears could come roaring back. And so I definitely have to take that into the account, because again, this is not a bull market. It's a bear market overall. The third piece of it is, anytime we see a really big move in one day, we oftentimes get stuck in that area in a trading range. So let's talk about, and again, we mentioned earlier, if we get that deep pullback, trapping in, if the pullback holds, it's a reversal, right? So same game plan we just talked about on the S&P. Okay, so let's talk right now about the range, right? Because the range is going to be, there's a lot of potential. We go sideways here into a trading range. So when it comes to ranges, I should say bullish ranges, not a lot changes, right? Not a lot changes here. The one big factor, though, is if we go sideways up here, it gives the buyers a hell of a lot more credibility, all right? Because we expect the bears to be here, right? But if we stick and go sideways, remember, ranges are magnets. Ranges, they basically confirm that, okay, for whatever reason, this price is the right price, right? That's what ranges are all about. So if we sit there and go sideways overnight, again, it's the potential for that is very high, because the size of that move right now, the longer we stay there, the more this area becomes a magnet. Okay, now it's very, very simple. When we get a range like this, now we go out, we find support levels, right? We find support levels. We find support. You get the point, right? We're trying to find support levels below the trading range. And what we're going to do is you want to wait for that pullback. And again, because we're overall bearish, I would expect the bears to put up a little bit more of a fight than they normally do. Give them a couple shots to sell short and use those stops as fuel. Now, that is not a big difference between we talked before. But here's what you want to be aware of. Whenever we have a bull range like this, what's going to happen is this rotation off the low. Okay, a lot of times these become very, very strong. In fact, the amount we go below the range is oftentimes the amount we go above the range. Okay. My favorite way to trade these kind of bullish, again, relatively bullish, right? I know we're still bearish overall before you guys go unload on me in the comment section, right? But these relatively bullish ranges, I'm taking my profit off right at the high of that range, and you want to try to leave a runner, because again, tomorrow's a Friday, right? So leave that runner into those pendulum swings. Once we get to that pendulum swing, this is where you start thinking about those bears coming in, right, for that short back down again. How would you short something off of that high, right? What do you think is the best way for us to short something off of that high? Let's talk about this now. Let's talk about this. So we get that price. Let's say for example, we pull back. We're trapping those bears, right? We go back up now to retest the high here. This is a lot of bullish momentum, right? It's a lot of bullish momentum as we go back to retest the high. I like the short off the high, but I have to respect what? The short-term momentum. In my trade room, we talk about the two most important things to understanding what the best entry is going to be is context and momentum. You have to understand both of these to time a really good entry. So context is great, right? It's a great place to sell short in an overall bear market. You're at a major top. Okay, context is good. Momentum, again, because of that bullish move, because of that squeeze going higher, we have to assume in this situation, momentum is very bullish, right? The bullish momentum now tells us I have to respect those buyers, and this is where we use that same, basically, that same two-try failure pattern, right, to sell off the high. Remember, professionals are buying right there. Professionals are buying low. We have to assume anybody buying into that high right now is not a professional. And by definition, that means a small account. That means a very little risk tolerance, unable to defend themselves if they get caught in a bad trade. Let those rookies come in and dig their own grave. I'm not a big fan of picking the tops in these type of situations. Again, that momentum is too much. Simply sell into that high. But once we start seeing those buyers struggle up here, Where do they want to go next? Well, first of all, where are their stops, right? Where is their pain? And this is the key. That some of the easiest money you'll make in these range environments is simply hunting for stops, right? Stop run. Stops is fuel, right? So find their pain and sell right into their pain. Where does the market want to go at that point? It's going to want to go back down and where? Take out this low. Now, once we take out that low, do it again, right? Do it again. Trap in those bears. 1, 2. And hit them again. These will oftentimes produce these larger ranges, and again, keep using stops as fuel. Now, be aware of this because this is very realistic for tomorrow. We may come in. The bears may say, okay, we got the top taken out. The buyers are happy now. Now it's time to now the bears want to get fed, and they may hold that pullback. They may blast, right? They may not struggle. They may 1, 2 jump off that moving average. Then what? Then what? You find that new channel, and what do? You don't miss that first test, right? You don't miss that first test going off the high of this. Again, we talked about these reversals earlier on in the in the video, right? So same basic idea, right? So just be aware of that for tomorrow, right? If we get back down to that low, if we get those bulls trapped above the high, we could run those stops, short this thing back down, take some profit at that low, and then just watch. Just wait and see. If the bears come in, they try a couple times and fail, then now we're going back up into a larger trading range that becomes the magnet as we go back into the week next week. If they don't fail and they roll it over, yeah, now we know this double top was the end of the road for the buyers, at least for now, and we're now making a run back down to retest the low. I would also keep an eye out too I would also watch out for that double top. Again, simplifying this time, right? They roll lower and they simply grind, right? They grind, you know what I mean? We might see that beautiful pullback off the low, that nice juicy bull trap to sell that double top off the high, and that might be all they get, right? This thing may just walk away. This thing may continue it may completely roll over, and we may get, again, that separation we mentioned earlier. They may get that separation tomorrow. Once that separation's in, we're done, right? These buyers are toast. And now we simply go out. And our biggest challenge at that point now is not chasing it and just waiting for that first short right off the high of that channel. So these are the scenarios on my mind right now for the range. And of course, for the pullback, that double top. The last thing I want to mention too is if we keep going higher, you'll see again on the 60-minute time frames, the 4-hour time frames, specifically the 60-minute time frames, the Nasdaq and the S&P. You'll see we may not be done going higher here. We may continue, especially on the S&P, going higher here. If we do keep going higher, what do? All we do is simply ratchet up this this channel. This will move left a little bit. You know what I mean? It'll ratchet up. This measured pullback will just go higher, right? That's all we're going to do. So if it keeps going higher here, it's the same darn strategy. Okay? But remember though, don't let that move going higher fool you. We're still an overall bear market. We're still looking for that bull trap for the short back down. We're still looking for that deep pullback, the trap in, the retest, right? And we're definitely still, if we keep going higher, right? If we keep going higher here, there's probably even more chance of a range up there because again, whenever you see big moves, ranges are very, very likely. All right? So don't doing anything foolish if we keep going higher here, right? I don't care how high it goes, just simply wait for the game plan, and most of the time this will work out like clockwork. All right, Nasdaq is ready, S&P is ready. I don't know about you, but I'm getting excited for Friday. Finally, Friday tomorrow. It's been a wild week so far, and we'll finish it up well tomorrow morning. How about some oil right now? Oil's a relatively straightforward situation here on the chart right now. We're bullish in the 60-minute time frame right now. Now you'll see. I mean, let's face it. Oil's a pretty choppy market right now. You can see they really haven't given us a very big move here yet this week. Down the description, the 60-minute and the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart is it's all mucked up, right? The 4-hour chart is an absolute mess. So I'm really kind of leaning on this 60-minute time time frame, but on that 60-minute time frame right now, you'll see there's a big trend line right here. Okay, you'll see in the 60-minute chart, there's a big, juicy triangle top right there, which is probably what's keeping these buyers from busting this thing back to 80, like I mentioned in last night's video. So that is the context of the situation that we're in. As you'll notice, though, what is this? It's a bull market into a trading range. That's basically what it is. Right? On top of that, well, and of course, whenever we have a bull market into a trading range, what do? You know this already. We find support. We find measured pullback support. We find support levels below the range. And what do? We trap in those bears, right, and run this thing back up into that trading range. The one thing you want to be aware of this is, you can see why I've gone out and found some bigger channels, is you want to be prepared for a possible sharp pullback or a sharp correction, if you will, right? Because again, you've got that big level of resistance up overhead. If I have a bullish bias right now, but I'm running into overhead resistance, I have to anticipate what? A relatively sharp correction. But the problem is once we get that sharp correction, all the sellers who sold off that high, who are the ones responsible for that correction, they're not down here anymore, right? The big lot sellers are selling high up here, right? So when we get down in this area down here, we have to expect, these are the rookies, right? These are the inexperienced traders, the folks who unfortunately have not been introduced to my videos yet by the YouTube algorithm, right? So we have to expect this deep pullback. And if we get that deep pullback, it's just like we talked about on the S&P and the Nasdaq. We want to anticipate that deep pullback is going to come with some extra bears. We have to expect a sharp move down is going to get a lot of sellers who are trying to chase this thing. And so what do? You give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them try once, let them try twice, and you hit them right where that pain is, right? You literally buy right into those stops for a run back up to retest the high. Be very careful. These sharp pullbacks may feel like a reversal, but I doubt they will be. At least not yet, right? Unless they can hold this and really run down. But I'll tell you, even if we see a strong move down like this, we're still sitting at some pretty obvious support levels below a range above us. It's very difficult to want to sell this thing unless it really gets clobbered and it holds itself right below those lows here. I would also be aware too. You'll notice here there's a trend line on this chart right now. We may, in all reality, the amount we go above the range should be the amount we go below the range. We may not get that deep pullback. If you are a little bit more aggressive, right? If you got a little more risk tolerance, a bear trap, a shallow bear trap, because of course traps are going to be your best friend when you're concerned about buying high. Now remember, this would not normally be considered buying high, but because we have that context, that big trend line up overhead, the ideal entry is that deep pullback, trap the bears in and go from there, right? What you're going to be careful with is if all we get is a shallow pullback, we have to think there's a lot of bears right there, right? So we have to protect ourselves and buy as low as we can. Not my favorite trade for tomorrow, but something I will be watching on the oil in the early part of that pullback. Remember, if we go sideways, the longer we go sideways, the more that becomes a magnet. Now, last thing about the oil here right now, what if we go higher? What if we break out and go higher? It's a pretty simple idea if we break out and go higher. If we break out and go higher, we want pullbacks, okay? Because again, you'll see there's a lot of overhead resistance up here. So as we go higher, what I'll simply do is go out and mark off a new trend line, a new channel, and it's just the same idea. Right? Just like the buyers are coming in and buying pullbacks off the high, right? Off these previous channel highs. Okay, same idea, right? Now this channel high becomes support level. Now we try to get that deep pullback. We trap in those bears again. It's just the same game plan. It's the same game plan. It's just we have to wait for it to pull back. I really don't like the idea of chasing it. Right? If there's one thing we've learned about oil the last few nights, the last few days here, is that we don't want to chase it going higher, right? Because every time everything pops up, it's getting big pullbacks, right? Every time it pops up, big pullback, right? Pops up, big pullback. We don't want to chase this thing, at least not yet. At least not yet. Tomorrow might be the day it does break free. But again, I think that overhead resistance is just a little bit too convincing right now. So if we do end up popping up, right? Again, don't chase it. Find those bigger channels. You know what I'm saying? Find those prior swing highs. Wait for that nice deep pullback, right? And you'll get a nice risk reward out of the entry there, use that failure, use that pullback combo that we talk about in the free trading course. All right, guys, I like that game plan. I hope that we get that bear trap right off of that low. That was my favorite trade here for tomorrow. But, as always, we're going to find out. We're going to find, remember, we don't want to make predictions, right? You make predictions, you give yourself a blind spot. I'm not good enough to make perfect predictions, right? I wish I was, right? That day will probably never come. The markets are simply too complex. So rather than trying to make predictions of what's going to happen, why don't we just get prepared for whatever the market might throw at us? That way we have almost unlimited earning potential no matter what this crazy world does the following day. All right, guys, boy, great job this week. Promise me tomorrow, be disciplined, don't get lazy towards the end of the morning, and again, to leave that runner tomorrow morning once those Fed speakers start yapping tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, 11:45. Last but not least, don't forget, if you want to get any more details of anything we talked about tonight, the free course links, the trade room membership, all of the additional time frames we talked about, definitely grab those links. The description of the YouTube video. If you need any help with anything along the way, please don't be afraid to call the office. I'm always here. I know I go quickly through these videos, but I promise we'll slow things down, make sure you have all the pieces put together here. And if you need any help, the fastest way is to call the office, send an email, or use live chat. We're always here to help out. All right, guys, great job this week. Great video tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Please share this information with a friend. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe, and have a great Friday out there. If I don't see you tomorrow morning in the trade room, we're going to come back next week. Get a big week next week. That second full week, we'll have non-farm payrolls at the end of the day, at the end of the week next week. So very big week next week. But first, let's make some money tomorrow. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. My name is Joseph. Be well, be nice to each other, and you better. I know you'll be here next time. All right, adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.